so we have our unranked Ashe here, and here we go.
My business, my rules.
Attackers incoming in 30 seconds.
While it lasts.
Ready. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming.
Enemy contact.
Escort the payload.
Okay, well, it was nice of them to gift you such a nice TNT, and I really like that they gifted you such a nice TNT, but there's something I don't like about this too. Can you guess what that is?
Probably the angle is too wide, not enough cover.
No, yes, it's that second part. The angle is
Mm.
fine with me, where I'm looking at this and I'm going, your team is over here. You're on a pretty far angle from your team. I like that quite a lot, actually. And you're not too vulnerable from a distance standpoint. Like, you didn't go, here is your angle, where it's like, aha, my angle's great, but these guys can take 2 steps and are on top of me. It's just the lack of cover that's bothering me here.
So got it.
Let me see if I can get back a couple of my frames here, because I'm not quite liking that. Okay, there we go.
Payload's in my possession and moving out.
So in terms of what cover could you go work off of? And even if it's as you're shooting your scope shot like this, you can still move, and you might not move in a straight line. You might have a little bit of back and forth to get there. But what's cover that you could be moving towards as you're cleaning this up?
Well, I think probably the right side, because it positions me for that high ground, more so than, say, if I were to take the cart as cover.
Okay. That's fine. I'm totally good with you going, hey, I'd like to take the right side. It makes the more extreme angle. I can totally live with that. The cart does have the advantage of, hey, you start pushing cart at some point. But that's okay. You have to do that. I'm totally good with right. And now I'm definitely good with right.
Here it comes.
So, I'm not in love with this.
Here it
Like,
comes.
you're throwing this TNT, and you're probably thinking, I want to get the Zarya. But here's the thing about getting the Zarya. Do you know the bubble status of that Zarya? Does she have a personal bubble left?
I was not tracking.
Right. So your TNT will lose some of its value because it'll stop burning if she hits her personal bubble, which would be annoying. But also, this TNT is like, it's definitely not going to finish her off, right? Like, this Zarya, you might not know this, but this Zarya is effectively full health. And you don't know this because you haven't shot this Zarya yet. So generally with TNT, we're looking to sort of go, I shoot someone who's in the open, maybe a couple steps away from cover, maybe right on cover, etc. And I threaten their life is threatened because you shot them. You hit a headshot, maybe against the tank, you hit a couple headshots. And then you're generally going to throw the TNT because the TNT can explode past the corner. Like, let's pretend that this Zarya was standing right here, and you shoot her twice and dead, and she's going to flee, and you wanted to throw your TNT, and you wanted to skim your TNT as tight as possible while still going past and still you being able to hit it, because the explosion will reach out to here. So this Zarya that was fighting here because she wanted to be able to see you guys to shoot at you, she takes some headshots, she doesn't like it, she starts to leave, and then your TNT is able to explode even if she's retreating, and that can burn her and finish her off. Like, if you don't have a big, meaty, multi-person TNT, you're really looking more for your TNT to be not so much your opener, unless they're not aware that you're there, but more like your finisher for when they're retreating. Does that sort of fit? Does that sort of fit
100%.
into your... Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and you hit on something earlier, and I hope you're going to do it now.
Fire in the hole.
Right, so we don't need to just TNT on cooldown. Don't have to do that. But what is it that you hit on earlier that I'm hoping you're going to do now?
Yeah, it's the high ground.
It is. It
yeah.
is. Yep, okay.
Yeah.
And you could go up back here. I think your team is winning hard enough that you don't need to go up here. I think you can get aggressive and push yourself up here and see what you can do. And if they go, it's an Ashe, and I don't want to have to win the fight with the Ashe, well, you'll probably get some support. Winston will jump up and join you. Bap will probably throw a heal at you. Mercy can jump to you. You're perfectly fine challenging this.
Okay, I think I do it here.
Good. This is good. If an opponent is going to show up, where are they going to show up on you from?
I think from the farther end here, over there
They
in that
could,
courtyard.
yeah. So we'd bring our crosshair and we'd just sort of bring it up to more
Mm,
be, instead of like down here on the ground, we'd bring it up to be like at shoulder height, right? There's an
yeah.
argument for over here instead, or there's an argument for even higher than shoulder height, which would more be I'm marking this specifically because someone might peek from here, which would change where we do it. That's a little different than marking the door frame here. Those are slightly different spots. But I like this spot because it's a small flick to that one. It's possible that someone will show up here, and I'm a little less worried about this, though perhaps I should be, or perhaps you should be.
Hmm. Yeah. This is crosshair discipline, is what you're talking about. I think.
You
Is that
got
right?
it.
Okay, I'm with you.
Cool. Sure, that's fine. Okay, so perfect. This is the type of thing TNT is used great for. A, you're going to get multiple targets, but B, you forced her behind cover, and now you immediately go into the TNT, or even as you realize, hey, she's about to go behind cover, you can do it because you don't want her to get too far, because you're going to get that, and you can potentially get the finish there, even if you can't reach her with shots. That, unfortunately, was too shallow. So, there's a trick to TNT, and it looks like you're executing it here.
Here it comes.
Where if you just throw the TNT and just hold primary fire, what's going to happen is, okay, you throw the TNT and the TNT immediately explodes, and that's fantastic. But the problem is that's not always the distance you want. That was almost the distance you wanted, but it wasn't quite. It looks like, did they not go start on fire? Oh no, they did start on fire. My bad. I
No, no
thought you
worries.
hadn't thrown that quite deep enough. But you got your credit. Okay. But like we have to so it's going to be really hard to take down their Zarya even though she's in an aggressive forward position while that coalescence is going, right?
Yeah.
So we just have to hit too many shots and Moira can solve it too easily. We could try to take out Moira. That's hard, but we could absolutely do it. Or we could go, hey, I'm going to shoot at this Junkrat who's back here, and I'm either going to cause the Junkrat to retreat, or I'm going to try to eliminate the Junkrat. But either way, Moira is much less likely to be aware of that Junkrat behind her and much less likely to be able to save them, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So your best move is like, I'm going to try to eliminate the Moira, but if you really feel like it's beyond me, I just can't hit the multiple headshots that I have to eliminate her before she vampiric Siphon's life back, too much of it anyways, with her ult, then your next target would probably be, in this case, the Junk, because I just don't think it's likely, unless you see like a Discord or a Purple or another person more seriously attacking that Zarya, I just don't believe that you're terribly likely to take them down. Fair?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Bob, do something.
But, Crossfire Bob, I like it. And you had a real shot there, so hey, that can work. You were almost there. Okay.
Commandeering the payload.
Super annoying. Super annoying. But your soldier's also leaving. So it's super annoying, but this is an angle, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can see through the wall that your Winston's sort of coming from here, and you see the soldier ran right past you. So he's clearly going to go this way. So I kind of still do want this angle. I might not want this angle this second, but I bet 2 seconds from now you want this angle. You as a team want to have control of this angle. So what you're actually going to do is you're going to go, let me start some tea. Let me go check my watch, tap my foot. Maybe I'll write down a couple notes. Okay, cool. Now I'm going to peek and go to here. Okay, you don't actually have time to do those things, but like you can just wait, because like the time it's going to take from you to get from here to here and then open this angle and take these shots. Imagine investing all of that time, that same amount of time, and not moving, and then opening this same angle and shooting. I bet this angle will be reasonably powerful by then, and not all of the eyeballs will be on it. Wouldn't you agree?
I do think I go back to it.
Oh, okay,
What?
perfect.
Yeah, yeah.
Perfect.
What goes in my head is I don't be idle. There is something to do. So
Yeah,
it's hard for me to. Oh,
but sometimes that thing to do is active waiting. Sometimes that thing to
mm,
do is active
yeah,
waiting with your crosshair where someone might show up if they try to force the angle on you. Sometimes that thing to do is let me turn around real quick and check where my teammates are so I know what my aggression timing should be.
yeah.
But
Okay,
I hear you.
noted.
And you're here, so you can use it. And Soldier went and retook the angle, so it's fine.
Let me handle it.
Okay, so this was predictable. So here you are. There's a Primaling Winston. They're probably not going to get to push the Primaling Winston because he knocks things back, right?
Yeah.
So we actually wanted to throw our TNT not where they are now, not as if they're walking towards our
Mm,
Winston. We needed to, if we were going to TNT, just throw it further back. And while they're clumped up, they're just not going to stay clumped up. It's sort of reality. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't hard reload like this. So you're doing this, you're trying, you run out of shots.
Yeah.
You have plenty of shots again to do work. You don't have to complete your reload. Ashe, it doesn't hurt you to interrupt your
Mm,
reload. And like, hey, there's an active fight going on right now. Your Winston is trying to create opportunities, poorly, but he's trying to create opportunities. So like, this is valuable time that you want to use because your team is going to be less powerful 3 or 4 seconds from now when Primal is over, right?
yeah, yeah. I do this a lot. I struggle with this downtime and just like, what do I do? But it's
Yeah, well,
simple.
you can just
Just go.
interrupt and go back to shooting. Like it's like
Yeah.
that's how Ashe's weapon works.
Oh,
Okay. And again, we wanted to do 2 things. A, we didn't really want to start with that. B, if we were going to do that, we can't throw it there. We want to skim this harder so it's more like here, so it's deeper. Because people are
mhm.
retreating out of our sight line is what we're worried about when we're TNTing. Sure. You have to reload before you can TNT. Nice of her to miss that shot, and then you were going to do that. Okay. Okay, there's a little bit of a balance to be had here. You've got 2 shots. I guess you can take the 2 shots, but what are you going to force an elimination on with 2 shots? Like, if you double tap the Ana, it's possible, I suppose. But, like, this is a little dicey. You probably did want to let this go to, like, 4 shots, because then you've at least got a chance here. That said, you're under immense pressure. You're purple. You've got, like, no health to play with. That's his life. But even if you hit both of these shots, okay, well, she's still gonna, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Pop yourself right up. Good. Oh, that was almost scary.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. The situation was scary before. You got rezzed. I want to go right back here because this was just a pair
Oh.
of supports. Like, yes, you just lost here, so you might have some mental, like, oh, that's a scary place. I don't want to go back there. It was Ana and Moira. Like, yeah, they got the jump on you, but, like, no, I'm okay. I'm going to retake this, and now I'm
Yeah.
attacking from here while my team's attacking from here, and that's exactly what I want to do. I want this off angle. I want this crossfire. I want the ability to just drop TNT in the middle of this.
Yeah.
Let them up.
Okay, bring her across there a little bit up there. I know she's a smaller tank than most, but like she's still a tank. You can bring that crosshair up and hit her in the head. Oh boy! Oh boy! So that's kind of a little cute play that you're making there, and I'm okay with it. But now you need to leave because even though you don't know exactly how many people are there, you're a mid to long range hero. Like,
Yeah.
you've got better short range capability than Widow, sure, but you're mostly a mid to long range hero, and you're kind of close to the enemies, right?
Yeah. No, I totally felt massively
Okay.
uncomfortable when I saw Hog.
Right. Whereas if you're playing over here, you're pretty comfortable. You've got a different angle than your team. It works. Like, yeah, getting close, getting into medium short range for TNTs can make sense, but most of the time you're just happier over here. Sure, you could pop yourself up here if you want for giggles, but yeah.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
This is bronze.
All good. And obviously we wouldn't actually bob there, but that was because we wouldn't put ourselves in that situation in the first place. Good effort. Nice.
Yeah, crazy lucky.
Yeah, but you build your own luck. Like, you gotta try before luck can happen. Okay. Into spawn, into spawn, into spawn. Do you know where your spawn room is?
Yeah, it's to the left.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah, right
exactly, just right there. So you're like totally safe here, and you're not winning this team fight, right? Like this is over. Just you need to wait for your team regardless. So like I might as well wait and spawn where I get help. Like, oh, I'm gonna trade back and get
God.
eliminations here on top of your own spawn. Who like no, forget this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now your whole team is alive, except for you, because that's when the spawns happen, and now they're having to fight with 5 without you, when it would have been so easy for you to be alive here.
Yeah, it's hard stagger.
Yep.
That was not in the plan.
Zarya's busy typing at people, otherwise known as being AFK. Okay, so now we get to Bob. Cool. I was hoping you'd give me a chance to talk about Bob. So what do you think we want to accomplish with Bobs in general?
Usually I try to look for opportunities that places fire perpendicular or like 180 from the incoming fire from my team
Okay.
to try to create a cross.
I wouldn't focus too hard on it being 180 degrees, but I do want Bob to have a different angle than you or your team, and I'd also like it to be a deep angle. It doesn't necessarily have to be 180 degrees, but yeah, deep angle would be good. So this Bob is sort of in the middle of the enemy team. Like he's sort of like your team, if we look at what your team controls, it's sort of here to here. I've sort of split the engagement into a section, and your team sort of controls where you are and to the right of you. Is that a fair thing?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Bob didn't really take any more space for you, did he?
No,
if Bob's over here, oh shoot.
Yeah.
That's a really good, like that's a little scary. It's not amazing because Junkrat will still have, hey, I have a cart I can hide behind, and the cart sort of gives you some trouble, but it's a better Bob than the one you did. Now, yes, he potentially got to uppercut through someone to get here, and that's a nice added benefit, but like, if you think about the things Bob can do, you'd like a crossfire out of Bob, you'd like Bob to put some pressure on the objective in some situations, and you'd like Bob to uppercut people. Those are all things that we would like Bob to do. The most important is what you hit on, and if we have to juggle between those, we want to prioritize the angle. This kind of over-prioritized the uppercut, the charge, whatever you want to call it, and didn't put enough weight on the angle. Fair?
Yeah, that's exactly what was going through my head, which is put them in the team. Which is not what you should. That's the least priority.
Right.
But that's what was going through my head.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
More seasoning.
But I mean, it still ultimately got good. It did ultimately get good value. It's not optimal, but the uppercut lets you combo for this, and then Bob took out Zarya. So hey, we'll call it a win. Like, how often do you get 2Ks with an ult, and you get your coach to go, bad Bob, bad ult, bad ult.
I'll take it.
Oh, now Bub's got high ground. Sweet.
Bob's better than me.
Thank
I
you,
love it.
Junkrat. You can predict this with TNT now.
Oh,
Almost. Oh, unfortunate.
yeah. Terrible wish.
I want to retake high ground. Like, I'm looking at this, and your TNT's over. Your TNT's not going to blow you up anymore, so you're definitely going to go up to that high ground, and that's a plan. I like that plan. But even if Moira's up there, cool. Moira's up there, and you'll fight Moira. And if Moira's not up there, well, now you've got high ground, and that's a better angle for seeing this fight, right? Like,
Yeah, I've never thought of this space as high ground to take, but makes
it's
sense.
not amazing. It's not amazing high ground. Like, you'll be playing into snipers that are counter snipering you from here, and it sucks.
Mhm.
But hey, it's high ground. You have control of it. It lets you shoot over the cart, just as an example. It lets you see that Junkrat approaching the spot over there. I'll take it.
Yeah, totally.
And right now, all of your team's damage is coming from the same direction. Well, we tried. I mean, I can tell you, hey, you should aim your TNT more up and to the left, but you know that intuitively. That, like, oops, I hit that wrong.
Yeah, same here.
Okay, so I'm going to go back here, because now you have to decide what you want to do. You've decided that you're going to use Winston's bubble as positioning, and that's sort of valid. That's kind of okay. You've lost your Mercy, which is unfortunate. You have to decide, are we trying to finish this here? If we're trying to finish this here, you're going to go take this spot or this spot and be like, I'm playing from one of these spots. I'd prefer this one based on how you get cover against their actual spawn door there, and you have cover to manipulate. You don't really have cover to manipulate as offense from here. You can put yourself here. It's a pretty aggressive position. Like, I'm telling you to push up and go take space that's parallel, perhaps even in front of your team. But if you think you can finish this here, this is the place to go. And I'd try to finish this. You're not going to retreat the five of you. We're not going to leave and wait for Mercy, right? Like, that's not happening.
Yeah, we're in.
So either you're going to pick a conservative spot and just go, I'm going to keep providing value to this fight, like this one, and I'm going to plink them as they walk out, and I've got this Winston bubble to play around, or you're going to go, I think this is the break in their wave. I think we broke the regression enough. Two of them are out in passive positions. The rest of them are still coming out of spawn. I think this is as good of a window as I'm going to get more aggressive. So I want to use this opening to take more, which would be this in this case. And that's what I'd recommend here.
Yeah. I literally did not recognize that as high ground, and I did think, oh, let me be in the bubble.
Yep. Totally understand. That's part of why we do this, because you don't have a ton of time on DPS, and it's going to be very different in terms of the spots you think about. And, that was a specific high ground, but you'll see more of this on other maps as you just start to learn the concepts.
Enemy turrets down.
Maybe don't reload in the open.
Enemy turrets down.
Oh, cool. There's a window. Let me just reload right here. Maybe go right. Like, I can reload over here. Maybe once I've got like 5 or 6 shots, I reopen the angle because I can cancel my reload as Ashe into shots. Maybe. But like, when I've got 0 to 2 bullets, I should probably be thinking about cover. Again, I'd really have preferred to open with the shots, not the TNT there. And I'd have preferred when I did throw the TNT to throw the TNT more closer to the cart, because she's sort of in a no-win situation. Here, she's sort of got options of like, well, I'll go up, well, I'll go around. If you throw the TNT here, I'll go around type thing. Once she's here, she wants to touch the cart, and it's like, I don't like this type thing for her.
My servants never die.
Sure. But now you need to leave. And you actually saw immediately that you were going to have to leave. So there's a diva right there, and I really
Yeah.
respect your aggression in like, no, I want to get my TNT off. But the real answer is I need to chip this diva down as much as possible. So remember, we're a poke hero, and she's really good at answering poke heroes. Whether diva's, she's would call her a dive hero. She works pretty well in brawl. She's pretty good in poke comps too, but we'll call her a dive hero. Doesn't matter. The point is her effective range is pretty short outside of micro missiles. She's got okay range on DM. She's got reasonable range on micro missiles, and she's got terrible range on her primary fire, but she's got boosters to close on you. And she's got DM. So we need to start taxing her on the way in. This is what we talked about, before we started reviewing the map, where we need to immediately go, hey, this diva is going to, if this diva shows up on top of you with full defense matrix and health, even if she uses boosters to do it, you're either going to have to leave, hopefully not down there, or you're going to have to or you're going to get eliminated. Like, that's how that fight is going to go. So we need to instead make sure that she does not have full resources. Spend some of her DM, spend some of her health, and you've got a nice long open sightline. She doesn't have a good approach on you. She's going to have to either hard dive you or go back into spawn right here, and you can chip down like all of her defense matrix or half her health. You can get a fair amount out of her. And then she's kind of going to have to play passive, and that's actually more valuable than you getting the TNT on these guys, especially with rally going when they're getting an insane amount of sustain. Like, I get it. You're thinking my team can push them and beat them, but what you need to do right now is you've got a pretty good position. You've got to just kind of go, I'm going to not necessarily beat Diva, but not let her, like, when you play Ashe, when you take these high ground positions that we've been talking about, you're going to find that divas just magically show up to contest them. Sometimes Winston, sometimes Hammond, sometimes Genji's, but divas just show up to contest them. And you need to recognize that that's going to happen before it does and pressure them before they get you. Because in an ideal world, Overwatch would be balanced or is balanced in such a way that, hey, if a non-poke hero gets on top of a poke hero, if a hero with a shorter range is able to get on top of on top of a long range hero with full health, well, conceptually, the shorter range hero should win. That's how the game should generally be balanced. And, there's some tuning that goes up and down on both sides, so that's not always true. But that's like a general principle, whereas if you're able to do enough damage to a Genji, a Diva, a Winston before they get to you, you should be able to finish them off, right? So what we're looking at here is very obviously I need to shoot at the Diva. She has a giant crit box. Let's do that. Yeah, there's about to be a diva that's going to push you into the wall. Oh, she didn't even boop you. She just decided to eliminate you. Unfortunate.
This is called murder. Like, don't ignore the giant robot.
Yes. Oh no, don't ignore the turret either, please. Like, let's just snipe that out real quick, please.
I totally did.
Like, this turret is putting your life on a timer. And it's so easy for you to just go, let me tap that turret out real quick. And then maybe I bob to set up a crossfire. Cool, I've got a bob setting up a crossfire. I'm up here. My team is pushing from this direction. Maybe we could do some cool stuff. But no, you just did this. Oh boy.
Yeah, this is not my finest moment.
No, like, there's so many things wrong here that we can talk about. Do we want to? So, here you are. You coach gunned yourself out into the self-destruct. Like, the self-destruct is out here, and you know the self-destruct is out here. And you coach gunned yourself out into a spot that I don't love. And you realize your mistake and are trying to run this way, which I'm good with. The diva's right behind you. Shoot at the baby diva, please, before she gets the elimination on you with Met Call. This is fine, and then this would be fine. I know that you want the health pack. They know that you want the health pack, but what's actually going to cause you to take less damage is turning and shooting at the enemy. You should still use your movement to get yourself to this health pack, but you want to be looking at the enemy as you sort of back up and use your evasive movement to get to the health pack. If you move forward, you move at 100% speed. If you move backward, you move at 90% speed. 90% speed plus you're keeping the enemy honest and they have to think about and they're worried about your shots is almost always better than 100% speed. Does that make sense?
It does. It
Okay.
does. I only recently learned that moving in the direction that you're going is faster. But this here is just sheer panic. I don't
Yeah.
think there was anything
Oh,
happening here.
I know. But this is a habit that we can train out of you. I know that this is sheer panic, and I know you're like, health pack, yes, yes, yes. But we want to train. We want to sort of train the sheer panic out of you, but we also want to train this instinct of let me just run at the health pack, or let me just run at my team like this as a sense of safety. Like, yes, you should move to them, but we keep our weapon trained on the opponent, just as sheer force of habit, because 9 out of 10 times that'll be correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that TNT was never going to save you. Remember, the TNT hurts you too at that range.
Hmm.
Join me.
Not letting that stand.
Payload stop. Well, exactly what we did.
I'm not scoping here. You can scope here, but the information that I immediately have is, oh, wow, these guys are still up aggressive. They pushed out aggressive, which is normal when they wipe your team, and your team is still fighting their way up here, which means this team is trying to tax your team on the way in, and then is going to back here where they can control here and here and have good positioning. But for the moment, they've sort of stuck their nose out to make this rotation for you guys harder, which means you never wanted to go here. You wanted to go over here where you can potentially punish their retreat and get the pickoffs from the side. That's what you wanted to do. And you just sort of know that because you recognize that after they've won, they're likely to push out here and do this. Even if you hadn't seen anything, you sort of wanted to default to, I'm going to go left. Instead, you scope walk, which is slow, and you scope walk, which is slow, and you scope walk, which is slow. And this is sort of a different angle than your team, but you completely missed the opportunity to be like, was there actually strong elimination potential from here? You still might get something. Okay. You caught it on the ricochet. I can appreciate that.
I think this is the moment when I said, "Oh, I'm using this VOD."
There we go. Okay, where's your cover going to be? Oh, we're choosing to throw TNT at a diva that's paying attention to us. You know, probably not the plan. So I'm good with this. You're trying to peel for your Anna. The palm tree says no.
You need to learn
And
the
then
rules.
maybe this wasn't meant for the diva. Maybe this was meant for the Zarya. Oh, look, cover.
Yeah. That dynamite was lizard brain.
I totally understand. To be fair, she just sort of showed up. I don't even know if you originally meant that TNT as like, this is to finish the Zarya, even though she's already gone or what. Probably a little too attached to this bubble. And again, I can live with this. I can live with what you're doing. But did it make sense to pop yourself up here with your coach weapon? Did it make sense to wander over here to go, oh, let me threaten your backline type stuff. Oh, let me threaten you from here. This is really one directional in terms of what you're pushing, the same thing as your team. And if it's one directional, that means one piece of cover works against all of you. One piece of cover works against all of you. But if you'd been over there, oh, that one piece of cover, not quite so good anymore.
Yeah. Okay. Never thought of it that way.
Yeah, no, I'm not just telling you take angles because Temporal said so. What angles do is they cause it so they compromise the value of cover, because cover that like works there doesn't work there, or cover that works there doesn't work there. They also make it so that evasive movement, well, let's just use this bridge as an example. If I'm using evasive movement against Clay here, I'm going to pretend that's how to say his name. Well, if you're down there, my evasive movement against Clay looks to you like this, and you're like, oh yeah, real challenging to hit headshots on that. So you're moving so much, and you just, go like, hey, that evasive movement lost value, the cover lost value, and then there's some, auxiliary benefits of like, hey, you're not going to get caught in a grab that's meant for your team. Hey, they have to turn to think about who are we dealing with. Like they can only aim their screen at one of you at a time, or they have to do flicks even if it's a smaller angle from there to there. And there's things like, hey, spam that was meant to hit Clay isn't going to hit you if you're over there. Right now, let's pretend Junkrat shoots a shot or Hanzo shoots a shot and he's trying to hit Clay and he misses. Well, that should be 0 value. But because you're right there, they might still get an elimination on you. If you're over there, again, that's not happening.
Mhm.
So those are kind of 3 of the big reasons that we get into, hey, off angles do good stuff. As you're about to find out. The team had a good off angle on you. It was 180 degrees. It's a good off angle.
Tactical visor activated.
Nothing wrong with a little self-improvement.
Nano boost administered.
I am unstoppable.
Moving to payload. Join me.
Okay,
Don't waste my time.
good. You're tucking tight around the cover.
Enemy turrets down.
I'll show them.
I don't actually need to blow that up because I don't see
waste
anyone
my
there.
time. Enemy turrets
I'm okay
down.
with this as a deterrent, but there's no one there. So, like, I'm just going to let it tick, and even if you don't trust your aim to be able to instantly shoot it on the ground in the future, they're going to think that you can, and they're also not going to know when it's going to naturally blow up. So they're like, well, I sort of don't want to push into it, which is like, okay, that's directional pressure. My TNT's over there. Maybe I can pay attention over here now type thing. Or you can just continue to pay attention to it, but I don't need to blow this up because I'm not convinced that you're going to get anyone. Now, in the end, your soldier does get the Moira right there, which is interesting, but hey. I'm not sure. I kind of doubt you saw that Moira when you pulled the trigger. Okay.
No.
So we went through this together, and obviously I can tell you a few things to work on from this that would be like major things that I'd want you to work through your focus one at a time that I think would be quite helpful for you. But even better is if before I tell you, you can tell me what you think would be important after having reviewed this game. And don't worry, I'm going to steer you right. If you start to go wrong,
Yeah.
I'll bring you back. But what do you think, having looked at this game, is like, hey, this would be important for me to work on?
Yeah, I think the low-hanging fruit here is to take more high ground.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's one of the first things to focus on.
Okay.
And I think the other is to use better angles. There's some angles
Okay.
that I just gave up.
What do you give me an example of an angle you just gave up?
It was after the first point, there's that bridge in the factory.
Okay.
I saw the two support there. I got rezzed, and I said, "Oh, that's a bad place to be. People die there," and I didn't go back.
Got
But
it,
that's
got
the
it.
power position.
Right.
And then I just for the low hanging fruit is be with the fight. So interrupt reload. Don't let getting a full magazine come at the expense of the team getting wiped because they're in a brawl.
Okay. I'd probably put that pretty low in terms of priority. Like, yes, that's a thing that you'll have to work on some point. I pointed it out because it was obnoxious and obvious, but I actually wouldn't prioritize your efforts there in terms of return on investment. Like, if you just start naturally correcting it, great, but I wouldn't like really focus on that. I would put much more on your angle control. And you split that into high ground and angles, and we can do that. We can definitely split those into 2 things if you want. But what is high ground but a way to make your angle different?
Yeah, of course,
And
of course.
it's better
Yeah.
than that. Like, high ground is like a really powerful angle. High ground, even if you don't have cover, usually gives you the ability to like back up and crouch. And what do you know? Now I have cover. It also increases your likelihood to headshot them because it increases the head to body surface area ratio. Like, high ground is particularly good. Some angles are better than high ground if it's like a really extreme angle. Like, if your team is here and you're here, well, you're sort of low ground, but you have a pretty extreme angle. That might be better than you being here and your team here because the angle between this and this isn't all that big. even though it is high ground. So like there's some balance to be had, but high ground is mostly just an upgraded version of taking a different angle. So yeah, we
Yeah.
can absolutely say take more angles or take more high ground. That can absolutely be a thing, and start looking for the high grounds. Like, hey, I can do that. I can do that. I can launch myself up here if I want and play from up here. I can absolutely, do some playing from here. This is valid. If my team is, if it doesn't look as forced, I could take this. High ground is great, fantastic. You could potentially get yourself up here. It's a little tricky. But, that's all very doable and good. But I'd actually tie that into this bigger thing of make sure you're taking and using these angles, and make sure you're looking actively for angles that you can go contribute from, like this. Like that's going to be a big deal type thing. So
Yeah.
that's definitely the first and the biggest thing that I want you to work on. We could
Okay.
go into be more conscious of the fact that your reload is an interruptible reload on Ashe, and you don't need to max out your clip. You could definitely get into that. That's not like some terrible wrong thing. I'd probably instead prioritize, though, a little more paying attention. And I pointed this out once or twice to you. I didn't point it out wildly. Part of it is this is a quick play game, so I didn't want to. So it's just going to happen in quick play. But I would like a little bit more awareness of, is my team in this fight? Because you had situations both where you committed ults into situations where your team was probably down 2 people, and does it really make sense to ult back into that fight, especially if you're like on top of your own spawn? Or as well as situations where you're just like, hey, again, on top of my own spawn, I'm just going to hang out here, etc. And you just need to recognize that the fight is lost and sort of reset and sort of either go into spawn or go, hey, this fight is over. I'm going to close the angle. Maybe I'm going to retreat. Maybe I'm just going to close the angle. But I'm not going to try to force a 3v6, a 4v6 type thing. Like, I want to have a consciousness of, where's my team? Is my team ready to engage before I engage, unless it's a fresh angle? You can peek on a fresh angle to try to get a quick pick, that you should know I'm trying to get a quick pick versus I can sort of sustain this angle. And sustaining this angle doesn't mean I'm going to keep it open for 12 shots, but it means I'm going to pretty quickly re-peek. Like I might go back for a second, second and a half, 2 seconds, and then re-peek, versus if it's me versus the world or 3 of us versus the world, I might peek, try to get an elimination with 2 to 3 shots, and then I'm kind of done. Like, I'm not going to repeat because there's like 6 people paying attention to me, or they're going to come force a 6v3 that we know we're going to lose, so I'm just going to leave now. Does that sort of make sense?
Yeah, 100%. I have a small amount of state of buffer, and the kill feed overwhelms me, and I just kind of
Of
like
course.
ignore it. So I
Of
find
course.
myself alone very frequently.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I do
Yeah.
not expect you said your other account you placed it, or not your other account, in another role you played in silver, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Tank.
no problem. I do not expect you to have the feed mastered. Like, I do not expect you to have this perfect game state sense of like, okay, there's exactly 8 people alive right now. Our respawns are 10 and 14 seconds away. Their respawns are 17 and 8 seconds away. And I'm not expecting you to have that at this point.
Yeah.
It's great when you do, but I'm not expecting you to have that. What I'm expecting you to do is go, okay, I just looked around. Like, I can press tab and I can see how many people are alive. And I can also, before I open an angle, before I sort of start a fight, not like constantly, but before I start what is really the beginning of a fight, like we're not actively fighting yet, I can do a quick look around while I'm still behind cover and just a quick appraisal of where my team is. Is my team, mostly in the spawn room on the way back from spawn? Maybe I don't want to open this. Is my team all set up and, they can be in combat within a second if they want to be? Oh, I definitely want to start taking shots. Does that make sense?
100%. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't need you tracking the feed yet. We'll get into the feed in the future, and the feed really becomes you start building a habit of like, okay, I'll try to check the feed once every 10 seconds. I'll try to check the feed once every 5 seconds. I'll try to actively use my peripheral vision on the feed. I'll try to press, every time I press tab, I'll then augment that by checking the feed to see if I can at least tell the order that stuff happened in, even if I don't know the thing. We can build out your feed awareness, but that's not where I'd go yet. Like, that's not going to be the most important thing for you yet. Get the real basic building blocks of, I can press tab to see how many people are alive, and I can see my teammates through walls. So when I'm not in danger, I might as well check where they are.
Yeah. Makes sense. All of it.
Perfect. Then I think we're good to go. Do you have any final questions or comments or anything of the sort?
Well, I think the thing I would ask is kind of I can work on those two things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Work on my angles
Yep.
and work on being aware of my surrounding and my team.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now, as far as kind of like hero roster and like who do I
Ah,
learn?
sure.
Do I continue to run one trick with Ashe, or do I start to look at the other hit scan easy heroes?
Sure.
What's
So
what's your suggestion there?
I would recommend one tricking Ashe for now. Ashe is
Okay.
flexible enough that that's not going to feel terrible. There's some heroes that just feel terrible if you try to one trick them in some situations. Ashe has very limited situations where that's true. I would
Awesome.
recommend one tricking Ashe because you're still building a general. Let me rephrase that. Do you feel like you know what all of the abilities for the heroes do? I'm not talking like I know exactly how much damage Anna's nade does. I know exactly how to send, exactly the different rollouts for sending sim turrets through teleporters, things like that. But I'm talking like, do you basically feel like you know what all of the hero abilities do?
I do, but I think the point that you're about to make is probably the greater one, which is limit the number of variables that we're working on, which
Right.
I greatly appreciate.
Right. So as long as you've already hit a place where you feel like you know what the entire cast of heroes does, you're going to mostly benefit from going, I'm trying to work on Ashe. You later might go, I need to build myself as a hit scan player, or I would like to build myself as a hit scan player. So I have the option of playing on a team, even if it's just for fun, because playing on teams is amazing. Or even if it's just so I can go, hey, I'm playing in a ladder game and I can't handle this situation. My team really needs a McCree and I know how to play Ashe, and it's kind of my job to be able to swap to McCree type thing. Like, yeah, you do want to have that for the future potentially, but yes, you're going to get the most bang for your buck going, I'm going to work on Ashe right now, and she's plenty flexible enough for you to do so.
Awesome. Awesome.
Cool.
Great. I've got what to work on. I'll put a couple games between now and the next time that we talk and looking forward to it.
Sounds fantastic.